सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयम् यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। यथा ह्यन्यशरीरेषु ममाहन्ता न चेष्यते अस्मिंश्चापि तथा देहे धीसाक्षित्वाविशेषतः रूपसंस्कारतुल्याधि रागद्वेषौ भयन्यत गृह्यते धीशयं तस्मात् ज्ञाता शुद्धो भयः सदा। वासुदेवस्य युक्तं सर्वत्र समात्मदर्शनम्. For Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, they see the Sama Atma, the same Atma, the same self everywhere, in everyone, in everything. Tasya upadeshu mamahankar rahitatvat. Vasudeva is different. Lord Krishna is different. He doesn't have ahankara, mamakara and upadi. Whereas I, the mumukshu, find that I have this ahankara, mamakara, I am body, I am upadhi. Says, no, you are not. Yatha anya sharireshu mamahantana cheshade. So just as you don't have aham bhava, that I am so and so, when you see other body, the idea of I or mine does not arise in you. Because dusyatvena anatmanishchayatvat. The anatmanishchaya, that this anatma, I am not there, that nishchaya is there. Therefore, another body does not raise in you the idea of I and mine. Then, in fact, you could have said also the shariratvat. Now, this is also sharira, therefore the same rule applies. But here, how come there is no aham bhava, mama bhava in that body? Disakshitvat. That's how it is. Dushyatvat, disakshitvat, because the body is, di is the sakshi of that body, and so disakshitva visheshatat. You are the sakshi, or that body is sakshyam. So this body also is sakshyam. Therefore, there is no reason that you should have aham bhava in this body. The reason that applies to your not having aham bhava, ma bhava in another body, same reason applies to your not having aham bhava, ma bhava in what you call my body or what you call I. There also idam shariram kaunteya kshetramiti abhidiyate. But ragadvesha ubhayopalambhat. Lord Krishna does not have ragadvesha, but I have ragadvesha. Meaning this Atma is ragadvesha. Says no, Atma doesn't have ragadvesha. Now here the way of explaining each point is quite different from the normal. Same reasoning, Sakshitva should have been given, could have been given. But here some different unique reasons are also given, simple reasons for contemplation upon the true nature of the self. Rupa samskara tulyadi ragadvesha. So that is the visheshana of ragadvesha. The raga and dvesha both. Rupa samskara tulyadi. So रूप संस्कारेण तुल्य समहन आधि आश्रय ययोः. That's how the Bahuvrihi Samasa works here. Yayoho ragadveshayoho. So these two ragadvesha for which the adhihi or the adhikaran, here adhikaran, the locus is the same as the locus of Rupa samskara. The samskara or impression that is created when you have the experience of a rupa, for example, is an example. Among all the organs of perception, the chakshu eyes are first pointed out, chakshuradi, because it's the most prominent organ of perception. So usually it is eyes and the ears. But because the form of the color you see with eyes is very clear and leaves no doubt in you, those samskaras are also clear. And so you know very well that rupa is different from you. And the samskara that is created by rupa also is different. And they have their adhikaram in the mind. So also ragadvesha have their adhikaran in the mind. And also fear. Krushyate dishrayam tasmat. So if you pay attention, then you will find that the knowledge of awareness of ragadvesha is not the awareness of Atma having ragadvesha. The awareness of ragadvesha is along with that adhikaranam or locus, namely mind. It's a matter of paying attention. It has been taken for granted that ragadveshas are located in me. Atma is locus for ragadvesha, therefore you think that I possess ragadvesha. But pay attention. Which is the locus of ragadvesha, the same as the locus of the samskara that are born from various experiences. And that samskara is in the mind, so when you appreciate samskara, you also appreciate mind, which is adhikarana of samskara. So also when you appreciate ragadvesha, you appreciate the mind that is samskara, adhikarana of ragadvesha. And again, ragadvesho rupadi darshan nimittau. If samskaras born out of the perception of ragadvesha have their locus in the mind, then ragadvesha, so samskaras born of that experience have the locus in the mind. The ragadveshas are also born of the same experience. Experience of rupa, etc. causes either like or dislike. And both of them are a cause of potential fear. The raga, dvesha and bhaya are also caused by the rupa darshanam. And samskara also is caused by them. That being the case, the raga, dvesha, bhaya, samskaras all of them fall in the same category as the result of rupa darshana. So they were saying locus, namely mind, Atma is not the locus. Tasmad jnata shuddha abhaya sada. Therefore, the jnata, the Atma is shuddha, ever pure, fearless. Nanu na sada shuddha Atma. So each one conclusion that is drawn from the previous discussion is question, or each conclusion becomes the reason for a question. That's how the Sangati is provided here. And therefore, that it raises a doubt, samshaya, and then nirakaranam. So, Shuddha, Abhaya, Sada, Atma. Says, Nanu, na Sada, Shuddha, Atma. That's not right. That Atma is ever pure. Kintu, Yatha Kratuhu, Asmin. So, this way also, we get the Samanvaya, the Ekavakyata, that all the scriptures are essentially teaching the same thing. Even though the statements seem to have different meanings, but when we look at the context in which a given statement is made in a given place, we realize that there is no contradiction among them. Ekavakyata, samanvaya, they have the same tatparya. So this way, this also helps us the tatparya nirnaya, or the appreciation of the purport of the scriptures. What is the intended meaning of all various statements we find in different places in the scriptures? Not just a literal meaning. What is the intended meaning? So then this statement is there in Chandogya. Yatha kratu asmin loke purusho bhavati tatha itah pretya bhavati. How the Purusha or a person brings about a transformation himself. Yatha kratuhu. Kratu means the determination or conviction, and therefore the resolve. So whatever resolve you have, what's the resolve? I want to be Indra. I want to be such and such. So that whatever that kratu, the resolve, the conviction you have, that this is what I want to become. In that way, yatha kratu means that way he constantly maintains the resolve and meditates in this manner. As a result of this meditation, he brings about a transformation himself. Tatha itah pretya bhavati, itah pretya. After departing from here, he becomes that. Which is what Lord Krishna said, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejatyante kalevaram. So whatever bhava, whatever state appears or manifests itself at the time of departure from this body, that's what it becomes next, after departure. That's the embodiment that he gets. Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Because he has maintained that bhavana or that sankalpa, and therefore that idea about himself, that I am so and so, I am so and so, this freedom one has. The freedom to become what one wants. Just maintain the thought long enough. If you want to become something that children are, you want to become a doctor, then meditate. You are a doctor. here it is this given devata, that the Ishta devata, that's what I want to identify with that. Therefore, meditation is performed for a length of time and then inner transformation takes place. So, bhava, the state of your mind changes, and that's the state that appears at the time of death, and that's what you become after departing this body. So, tada sada tad bhava bhavita hai, same as yatha kratuhu. Then you call it kratu, you call it bhava, you call it resolve or conviction that this is what I have always maintained in the life. That's what you become. Meaning that this passage is so that you can become something different from what you are. You can bring about a transformation in yourself. It is Udesya Puram Asuddho Purushaha. And therefore, if this Purusha or this aspirant constantly meditates, the Aham Brahmasmi. Now that is interpreted as meditation. Soham, I am Brahma. Brahma Bhavanaya Shuddha. Then you become Brahma, then you become Shuddha. As you are right now, you are not Brahma, not Shuddha, but constantly maintain that bhavana, conviction, kratuhu, sankalpa, resolve that I am Brahma, identify with Brahma constantly. And paschat Brahma bhavishyati, then the aspirant will become Brahma, become Shuddha. Therefore, the purity is something to be accomplished rather than existing fact. Atma is Shuddha, you are claiming that Atma is already pure. But this statement says that you have to become Brahma, you have to become pure, and therefore purity is a result of becoming, doing something. That means that, so this implies the interpretation of this that you are not Brahma right now. So you are not pure right now. Although this doesn't say that Atma is impure. When it says you become pure, that implies that you are not pure right now. So how do you say that purity is the nature of Atma? So the verse 14 says, Yanmanastanmayo nyatve Natmatvaptau kriyatmani Atmatve chanapekshvatvad Sapeksham hina tatsvayam. Yanmanaha tanmayaha. So, yatha kratuhu asmin loke purusho bhavati. So, yanmanaha tanmayaha, this is a rule that whatever kind of mind you make, what you identify with, in your mind, that's what you become. When anyatve. So what you are meditating upon, or what you are identifying with, is other than you, then this rule applies that you become, what you meditate upon. Na atmatvaptau, but not for attaining Atma, because that you already are. Therefore, atmatvaptau atmani kriyana. There cannot be the action of becoming in case of Atma, because you already are Atma. Atmatve cha anapekshatva. Therefore, there is no apeksha or expectation or need of any karma of becoming, because you already are Atma. Sapeksham means tatsvayam. If there is apeksha or requirement that you should become, then that cannot be Atma. And so you already are Atma. You already are pure. So then, Yan manaha tanmaya anyatve. So yan manaha is explained. Yasmin manaha yasya saha yan manaha. So you are the one in whom you are, with whom you are meditating. So where your mind is focused, that's what you are. Yasmin dhye devadu manah yasya. Yasmin dhye, in the object of meditation, says devata devadu. Saha yan manaha dhyayi purusha. So this meditator has his mind in the object of meditation. Therefore, he is described as the one having mind in devata, identified with the devata. Sa tanmaya dhye devadimayo bhavati. So yan manaha, so tanmaya, yan manaha tanmaya. Dhye devadi mayo bhavati. So this is the rule. Like the Kita Brahmara Nyaya, so called, that how the worm becomes a wasp. And so also you become the devata which you are meditating upon as identified as the devata. So where is the applicable anyatve? Dhyatru dhyeva anyatve sati. Now this is said all right. But what is the condition there? Anyatve sati. What you are meditating upon is different from you. Then the question of your becoming that different entity arises. Dhyatru dhyayo anyatve sati dhyana kriyayaha tatra arthavatva sambhavat. So dhyana kriya, the act of meditation will become meaningful, will yield results when what you are meditating upon is different from you. Naturally, then you become one, becomes the other one. Na punaha atmatvaptau. But naturally, for devatvaptau, for becoming devata, then that rule applies. Na atmatva, that rule cannot apply in becoming yourself. Atmaswarupa avasthana praptyartham atmani kriya dhyana rupa apekshate ityartha. So, for becoming yourself, there cannot be any kriya or meditation, etc. for becoming yourself, because there is no becoming in yourself. You cannot become yourself, you already are. Therefore, atmani kriya na apekshate. In case of becoming atma, no kriya is expected. Tatra hetu atmatvedi. It should be atmatvedi, in fact, not atmatvedi, because atmatvecha anapekshatvat. So, moksha rupasya brahmana atmatve sati. So, atmatve is the hetu. What is atmatve? Brahmana atmatve sati. So, because Brahma is already your one. What is Brahma? Moksha rupasya brahmana atmatve sati. So Brahman, which of nature of moksha or absolute freedom, is your own self. Tasya chaturvida kriyaphala vilakshanatvat. Therefore, the fourfold action has no application with reference to your becoming Brahma. Kriyayaha anapekshatvat. Therefore, Brahmana atmatve sati, because Brahman is already yourself. Therefore, no kriya or action is required or expected or has any role or place with reference to your becoming Brahman. Then how come I don't feel I am Brahman? You are already Brahman. How come I don't feel I am Brahman? And that's the reason, just like I don't feel I am Indra, I don't feel I am Brahman, so I have to become Indra, I must become Brahman also. No. Moha matra vyavadhan. So what is the distance between you and Indra? That is the distance of bhava. You enjoy one state, Indra enjoys a different state. So what's the difference between you and, what's the distance between you and Brahma? says mohamatra vyavadhanatcha. Only thing that separates you from Brahma is moha, is the notion that I am so and so, that Brahma is what separates you. Therefore, avidya is the only vyavadhanam, is the distance here. So what the intervening factor is not time, place or vastu, it is simply the distance is a Brahma created by your identifying with upadhi. न क्रियापेक्ष चकारार्थ है. So Karna does not have to become Kaunteya. He thinks that I am Radheya, I am son of Radha. But then he is told, Kaunteya, Kaunteya, not to Radheya, you are not Kaunteya, Radheya. He has to just know that I am Kaunteya. If you don't accept it, Vyakspakshe, Doshamaha, don't accept that Brahman is already your nature, moksha is already your nature, then sapeksham hina tatsvayam. In the kriya sapeksham kaivalyam bhavet, if moksha were the result of an action, then tarhi tatsvayam atmarupam nasyat. If moksha is something to achieve, as the Mimamsakas believe that moksha in the form of swarga has to be achieved, then it cannot be your nature, then you can't be already mukta. Kriya sadhyasya anatmatvat. So swarga or anything that is thought to be moksha is kriya sadhyam, cannot be atma. Anityatvacha, and what is achieved through karma also, yat kurtakam tad anityam, is anitya also. Therefore, tasmat sada shuddha eva atma. If moksha can be possible for oneself, only if moksha is one's own nature. If moksha is to be attained, it cannot be moksha. Because what is attained by karma. And what is the result of karma is impermanent. So moksha and impermanent cannot go together. Moksha has to be nitya. That's what you are seeking. Not only are we seeking freedom, but we are seeking eternal freedom, unconditional freedom. Seeking eternal happiness, not just happiness. And scripture says that moksha is possible, and that will be possible only when moksha is your nature and not something you accomplish through karma. Tatha tasmat sada shuddha eva atma. The Varatma is ever pure. Tasmin ashuddhyavasa mithya dhyasa edi. Ashuddhi, that I am impure, that avasa is only superimposition of ashuddhi from the mind, etc. Therefore, don't think that you are impure, that you become pure. Don't think that you are bound, that you become liberated. Don't think you are miserable, that you have to become happy. That will never happen. You are chasing a goal that can never be accomplished. A 10th man chasing the 10th man can never be accomplished. Then vibhagadi malabhava chidekara rasatva cha atma sada shuddha eva. That atma has to be shuddha. And atma is shuddha also. Because ashuddhi is not there. What's ashuddhi? Vibhagadi mala abhavat. Atma nirmalaha mala abhavat. What's the mala impurity? Vibhagadi. Division. Paratma, Adharatma, Atma, Anatma, Atma, Atma. So all these divisions are there, then that is impure. Because division means exclusion. And so, I am excluded, I exclude others, and then the sense of exclusion always remains. Sense of deprivation always remains. Sense of limitation always remains. Therefore, desire always remains to become free. And therefore, raga dveshas always are there. Impurities are there. Dvitiya dvai bhayam bhavati. When dvitiya is there, something independent of me is there, then bhaya and all impurities are going to be there. Vibhagadi mala abhavat. But that which can cause fear, which can cause ragadvesha, which can cause a sense of smallness, limitedness, desire, that is vibhaga. That is the division. That comes from sense of smallness, that is not there. So your notion that I am impure has its basis in your thinking that you are separate from others. And that is what brings about these complexes in you. But that's a basis. That basis is wrong. Vibhagadi malabhavat chidekarasatvacha. And then what was your nature? Chidekarasa. You are homogeneous consciousness. That's what you are. Which does not admit of any divisions. Like space does not admit any divisions because you can't cut it into pieces. Then what work of consciousness, which is even the adhisthana of space, there cannot be divisions in consciousness. Atma sadasva abhyupeya. Therefore, Atma must be accepted as sadashuddha, ever pure, ever free, ever unbound. So you start from there. See, Vedanta begins from this. Vedanta doesn't say how to become Brahman. Vedanta teaches you are Brahman, begin from there. You are Sadashuddha, you are Advitiya, you are Brahman. Then decide what you want to do. I don't feel it. Alright, then you need the Antahakana Shuddhi so that you will feel it. But whatever you do this on the basis that I am already accomplished or I am already what I am seeking to be. That is very important. Otherwise, whatever you do will be for accomplishing results in order to make you pure or make you free. So, karma asakti means the attachment, expectation of a reward is to become free, to become happy basically. That comes from the assumption that I am not free as I am not happy as I am. And so by maintaining that expectation or the reward from the karma, you are only perpetuating this sense of lack or incompleteness. That's the reason why Lord Krishna says, very practical, that if you want to become happy from karma phala, then you are perpetuating your notion that you are unhappy. And therefore, don't demand happiness. If you demand, then you are perpetuating your sense of unhappiness. Happiness, don't demand anything. Then happiness means what? All respect and this, that, and all sorts of the worldly things that people demand and all expect are all due to the assumption that I am lacking. And therefore, that demanding nature itself perpetuates a sense of lack, and you will never go. Because the demand cannot come unless you justify the lack. So I am justifying. And in that case, it will never go, regardless of how great you become outwardly. Because the lack is perpetuated, that lack will only change its form, but it will never go. As formerly he was, uncomfortably miserable. Now he is comfortably miserable. So formerly he was restless idiot, now he is quiet idiot. Yeah, things like that. So that kind of change we can bring about. But basic thing, assumption will not go. No accomplishment will change any assumption about myself. Only that I'll become a wealthier, incomplete person. More well-known, recognized, incomplete person I will remain. Therefore, Sadasveva abhyupeya. Atma must be accepted to be ever pure, means ever free, ever happy, ever liberated, ever complete. Abhyupeya, that is what one has to accept to begin with. All the sadhanas taught in Vedanta are based on this abhyupagama, that this is that's it is accomplished what they already accomplished. So says next verse, verse 15, it is swam iva or kham iva, and so both the readings are possible. Tika says swam iva, the verse is kham iva. Kham iva makes more sense actually. Khamivaika rasa jnaptihi avibhakta jaramala chakshurajyupadhana sa viparita vibhavyate. Viparita vibhavyate. This is jnaptihi. The consciousness vibhavyate is thought to be viparit, other than contrary to what it is. It is not somebody's fault that somebody thinks that I am incomplete, I am impure, or I am lacking. It is not a fault actually. Viparita vibhavyate, that Atma appears to be quite contrary to what it is also there. So that's the reason why this Upadesha. Chakshuradi upadhana sa jnaptihi viparita vibhavyate. Jnapti, which is khamiva ekarasa, like space, is homogeneous. Avivakta, undivided. Ajara amala, free from decrepitude, free from impurity. So this is the nature of jnaptihi, or consciousness of self. But I do not feel that way about myself. The unfortunate thing, or whatever you call it, in our life is that we do not find ourselves with what we are. Viparita vibhavyate, that jnaptihi, the Atma, vibhavyate, shines quite contrary to what its true nature is. Why is so? Chakshuradi upadhana, because upadhi. Because identification with the upadhi, or what I am not, so that becomes upadhi. Like the color flower becomes upadhi for a crystal. So also this body, mind, sense complex becomes upadhi, that it as though throws its limitation upon Atma, or limitation shines in Atma. So what I am right now experiencing is Atma along with Anatma. Atma, in which the Anatma imposes its limitation, like the flower imposing its limitation upon the crystal and making crystal appear clear colored. So when the poor crystal looks at the mirror, I am a colored crystal. And so also the upadhi, so earlier it was explained how upasamivartini vastuni, that which imposes its own limitations, dharma, upon what is in proximity is called upadhi. Chakshuradi upadhana sa jnaptihi. That jnapti, which is upadhana, which is characterized by the upadhi of chakshu, etc., appears contrary to what it is. And so Tika says, so first line is khamiva ekarasa jnaptihi. Jnaptihi, consciousness, is ekarasa, homogeneous, like space. Avibhakta, space, avibhakta, ajara, amala. In relative sense, this applies to space also. Atma is natural like this. So Tika says, Yadi evam svabhava esha jnaptihi. If jnaptihi, the consciousness, is evam svabhava, has this svabhava nature, which was avibhakta, ajara, amala, ekarasa. Tasyam janmadi vinashaveda pratibhasaha katham iti. How come in jnapti, in consciousness, in Atma, janma, vinasha, bheda, janma, that I was born, vinasha, I am going to die, bheda, I am different from others, pratibhasaha. If it is ajara, and also amala and avibhakta. Then how come viparita vibhavyate? How come I find myself as so subject to janma, subject to vinasha, subject to bheda? How come I find myself contrary to what the jnapti is? Ita ashankya chakshvaradi upadi samsarga doshat. Samsarga, the contact with the upadi, beginning chakshu means gross and subtle bodies. That's what we should understand. So, samsarga only is adhyasika samsarga. No real contact exists between upadhi and atma. And therefore, just as no real contact exists between the flower and the crystal, therefore, flower cannot make the crystal colored, can make crystal appear as colored. That's called upadhi. And that's saving grace. That all these that I find in myself, namely vibhaktatvam, malinatvam, jaramrityu, yuktatvam, all of this is abhasa and not reality. So Vedanta is a brilliant, again, the Vedanta only says this. The upadhi is a brilliant concept. Although Nayayikas have upadhi in different ways, but this upadhi, in the sense of that which imposes its own dharma upon the proximate thing, is called upadhi. For the upadhi is asadhana karanam, so that is a different upadhi. One limiting adjunct, that's how it is translated. So this is the model that Vedanta presents to explain our experiences. And when we understand what's the basis of my conclusion, not experience, you can't even say that I experience myself as divided. I have concluded that I am divided. It is the interpretation of my experience and not experience of limitedness. Because limitedness is in one place and I am in a different place, and so they are not in the same locus. But I am lumping them together and placing them in the same locus and then concluding that I am limited. So that which causes that sense of limitation is called upadhi. Chakshuradi, beginning from chakshu, meaning sense organs, mind, subtle body, gross body. So chakshuradi upadhanasa viparita vibhavyate. Sa viparita vibhavyate. It is conceived to be of constant contrary nature on account of the upadhi or limiting adjunct of body, etc. Now you make a statement, jnaptihi ekarasa amala avibhakta ajara. So that's a statement that you make. Atmana pratipaditam amalatvam vishadayati. That Atma is amala, ever pure. Because devoid of ragadvesha, devoid of divisions. So vishadayati, that is further clarified in next verse. Dushyatvad Natmadharmo ghatadivat tathanye pratyayagneyaha doshāścātmā malohyatah. So the upadhi is explained here. Chakshuradi upadhana. What is upadhi? In what way does upadhi make you feel the way you are feeling? So it says, dushyatvat aham. Starts with aham. Ahankara idehantan bandhan ajnana kalpitan. Starts with the sense of aham, the sense of individuality. So aham iti eshaha na atma dharma. So this is the pratigna. Aham, that individuality cannot be dharma or the nature of atma. Why? Dushyatvat. Because it is perceived. You are aware of it. Ghatadivat, just you are aware of ghata. You are not ghata. So there is aham. Tatha anye pratyayaha jñeyaha. Similarly, all the notions about atma also of the same category. Doshasya, all ragadvesha, doshas, all of them are dushyatvat, anatma dharma, na atma dharma. Therefore, amalohi ataha, therefore atma is amala, ever pure. So purity of atma is further explained here in this reasoning. Says the Tika, ahamiti eshaha, ahamiti pratyaya. So the verse says ahamiti, eshaha. So eshaha means pratyaya. This notion of aham, pratyaya, the conclusion of aham, the notion of aham. So pratyaya is, you can say, it's a conviction, cognition, or the thought, or the conclusion here. The conclusion or notion of aham, na atma dharma, that cannot be aham, individuality cannot be atma dharma, na atma nishta. Doesn't have locus in atma. That aham or individuality does not have its locus in atma. It has locus in anatma. Why do you say dushyatva? Because you are aware in a way of your sense of individuality. See, when you say that I am limited, that means that you are aware of your limitedness. Otherwise you can't say that. I am so and so. When you say you are aware of being so and so, otherwise you can't say that. That means that I am aware of my individuality, the limitedness, being divided. I am aware of this. It is not something that is indriya pratyaksha, sakshi pratyaksha. Ghatadivat, ghata is indriya pratyaksha, but awareness is there. So in being aware, ghata and aham are the same, being object of awareness. Ghatadivat tatha anyevi pratyaya parinama. Similarly also other modifications of the mind, kamaha, sankalpaha, etc. All these modifications of the mind. Doshaha, dosharupaha, and this ragadveshaha, etc. Anatma dharmaha, jneyaha, they must be known as anatma dharmaha, dharma of anatma. Yasmat is dushyatvat. So because they are all anatma dharma, atah, therefore atma amalaha, he nirmalaha eva ityartha. So conclusion is atma amalaha, nirmalaha. So here the tarka is aham iti eshaha or aham eshaha na atma dharma. Tatha anye pratyah na atma dharma. Dushyatvat ghatadivat. So they are not atma pratyah. Therefore atma is nirmalaha. Because nirmalata cannot be perceived. Understand? The thing is that malinata can be perceived. Nirmalata cannot be perceived. Because in myself. So nirmalata is what you arrive at. That is why malinata has to be negated for asserting nirmalata. So you don't become nirmala. You don't visualize nirmalata. You already are. Malinata doesn't belong to you, therefore recognize that malinata is dushya and therefore doesn't belong to me. I am not malina. It is as simple as that. If I can simply say I am not this, that you are free. But I am not able to say that. Because the identification, the complex are so strong. Such inferiority complex. Such complex about my, my miserability, my helplessness, my inadequacy is so strong. Even people who are great otherwise also are not free from this sense of lack of respect or lack of esteem. Lack of self-esteem, lack of self-respect, in one way is involved. So recognize that it is wrong. It is anatma dharma. There is something limited, no doubt. There is inadequacy, no doubt. There is limitedness, no doubt. But not where you think. It is an anatma. So it is anatma dharma. This is what Vedanta teaches. Recognize that limitedness is there, but it is anatma dharma, not atma dharma. Inadequacy is there, limitedness is there. See, helplessness is not any, that's the result of feeling limited. I feel helpless, I feel unhappy, sad. This is not the nature of anything. It is a reaction to my feeling a sense of lack about myself. So that the lack creates in me all these conclusions that I am such and such, and that makes me miserable. So Vedanta says that, see where that lack is. It's there, not where you think it is. Therefore, amalohi nirmalaha eva ityartheva atma is amalaha nirmalaha, ever pure. Ahankaradinam atmadharatva bhavepi. Now further, ahankaradinam, granted that ahankara is not atma dharma, ragadvesha is not atma dharma, meaning that Atma does not possess the doshas of ragadvesha, does not possess ahankara, sense of limitedness, as you explained. So, tathapi na even then na atmana vishuddhi, still Atma is not pure. Why? Vikaritvat, because Atma is vikari by nature. Now see, so far the vishuddhi, ashuddhis were coming from elsewhere. But now even if Atma is not made impure by other things, impure by itself, because vikaritvat, Atma is vikari, changing by nature. And then parichinnatvacha. So Atma is vikari by nature, parichinna by nature, therefore how can Atma be pure? So even though Atma is not subject to being impure by other entities, that we accept nirmala, etc. But nature of Atma being what it is vikari, subject to change, parichinna, limited, and therefore it is not pure. Anything limited is also vinashi, is perishable, and therefore vikari is also perishable, and therefore it is limited and impure. Iti ashankya. See, what the teacher, author says has to be first, we will recognize the Tikakara has to find a tatparya, of what the author means by these verses. Then only you can find connections. So, in that sense, this is an excellent aid given to us to understand these verses. So, next verse is Sarva Pratyaya Sakshitvat Avikari cha Sarvagah Vikriyeta yadidrashta Buddhyadi valpavid bhaved. Sarva pratyaya sakshitvat avikari cha sarvagah. All vikaras are in pratyas. Sarva pratyaya sakshitvat, the Atma is sakshi, witness of all pratyas, witness of all the vikaras, and therefore avikari. Then not parichita, sarvagah, not confined to this body. So I am limited, I feel that I am confined here. No, that confinement or parichinat also is right because you sarvaga, you are all pervasive. Why is so? Sarva pratyaya shastri sakshitva. Because I am the witness of all the pratyas, therefore I am avikari as well as sarvaga. Because sarva pratyaya sakshitva, wherever pratyas are there, I am the sakshi. Not only am I sakshi of pratyaya in this upadhi, because sakshitva, there is no visheshata in sakshitva, therefore I am sakshi, witness of all the pratyas anywhere, therefore I am everywhere. So I am all pervasive. So I am not parichinna, not limited. So because of this first line, that is why the Tikakara is able to construct the Shanka, that your Sangati is constructed by what the verse says, and it is answering these questions that may possibly arise. We create Drashta. So we don't accept that Drashta is Vikari. You don't accept that it is Avikari. Then you accept that Drashta is Vikari. Then Buddhyadi Iva Alpavid Bhavet. Then it cannot be all knowing Tasmai sarvavedaya namaha. Atma cannot be all knowing, but limited, vikari like buddhi, alpavid bhaved. So Tikakara says, so sarva pratyaya sakshitvat avikari sarvagaha. That's very clear. Vipakshe doshamaha. Suppose you don't accept Atma as a vikari. You think that it is vikriyavan. So vikriyeta iti. So then vikriyeta paricchinnova yadi Atma. So both the objections are there. Vikriyeta, if Atma was vikari, paricchinnova, or Atma is parichinna or limited. Limited in space or time or vastu. Yadi Atma tada alpavid bhaved, then Atma cannot be sarvavid, Atma will be alpavid. Meaning, Vishaya matra avabhasako bhaved, alpa Vishaya matra avabhasako bhaved. Then Atma is limited, it can illuminate only limited thing. Buddhyadiva, just as Buddhi is limited, and Buddhi can know only one thing at a time, only one avastha at a time, not past and future. So Atma also will become like that. Buddhi chitta manovaditi akshartah vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani bhutani. Lord Krishna says, I know whatever was in the past, what will come in the future, what is in the present. So I am all knowing. That cannot be if he is limited. Because one buddhi can always know, only buddhi is limited. So buddhyadeva, buddhi chitta manovaditi, like buddhi, buddhyadi, buddhi etc. means what is etc. Buddhi, manaha, chittam, like them. So buddhi or manaha or chittam can only know one object at a time, in the present, not past or not future. Buddhyadi shabdena tadgata abhaso lakshate. So you say that buddhyadivat alpavid bhaved, like buddhi, then buddhi is alpavid, buddhi is the little knowing. So buddhi is not little knowing. Then who is little knowing? So buddhyadi shabdena tadgata abhaso lakshate. Buddhi does not know. It is the consciousness or Atma reflected in Buddhi called the Chidabhasa or Abhasa is what illumines the object. So we require the cooperation of both Buddhi as well as the consciousness reflected in the Buddhi. So Buddhi removes the avaram by creating vritti, ghatakar vritti, and the Chidabhasa illumines the ghata. Therefore, Buddhyadi shabdena tadgata abhaso lakshate. That by buddhi etc. we should understand the abhasa, the consciousness reflected in the buddhi. Anyatha swarupatah acetanatvad. And buddhi swarupatah is acetana because it's product of the five elements or sattva aspect of the elements, therefore acetanam. And still you say that alpavid, then vedana yogavattvena alvidvachanam anupannam syad. Then if buddhi were achetanattvad, swarupa achetanattvad, because buddhi is achetana swarupatah, therefore it should be vedana ayogyatvena really, or vedana yogatvena alpavitva vachanam. Vedana ayogyatvena, buddhi cannot be the knower. So to say that knows limited also would be wrong. Buddhi, if it is supposed to be, if buddhi is described as little knowing, buddhi cannot have knowledge at all because buddhi is achetana by nature. So cannot have even little knowledge also it cannot have. To say that buddhi has limited knowledge also would be wrong because buddhi is acetanam. So therefore buddhi along with the reflected consciousness has limited knowledge. So Vedana ayogya, Vedana yoga vatvena. Yeah, Vedana yoga vatvena. So If you accept Chetanam, then Vedana Yoga, that is all right, but then Alpavitva Vachanam. But Acetanatvad Vedana Yoga Vatvena. Acetanatvad Buddhi is Acetanam, therefore Vedana Yogyatvam, how is it? So Vedana Ayoga Vatvena, I think, therefore Alpavitva Vachanam Anupannam Syat. तत्र बुद्धेः साभासायाः विषय अभासनमात्रे उपक्षीण परिणामायाः. Then what is buddhi? Sahabhasayaha buddhi. The buddhi along with the abhasa, vishaya, avbhasa, matre, upakshina parinamayaha. So all that buddhi along with the abhasa, what it does is vishaya, avbhasa, matre, upakshina parinamayaha. All that buddhi does or accomplishes is simply illuminating the object. That's all it does in the present. यथा पूर्व अपरा अनुभूति तदवस्था तत्प्रचारानुसंधान अभावः विक्रियावत्वात्. And buddhi itself undergoes change every moment. So it cannot reveal what happened in the past or what will happen in future. It just reveals what is in the present. In that case, alpavid. That's the reason buddhi is alpavid. Buddhi cannot illuminate the past, cannot illuminate the future, cannot illuminate more than what it can grasp in terms of the object. So, because buddhi is vikriyavati, buddhi is changing, therefore, because buddhi changes every moment, it cannot know what had transpired in the previous moment, does not know what will happen in the next moment. Buddhi, along with Chidabhasa, can only know what is in the present moment. Because it is Vikriyavati, it is changing. If Atma also were changing like that, then Atma also would not know, and then Atma also would become Alpavit, also would know little. Tadashtuhapi Vikriyavatve Anusandhana Abhava Prasangat. If Atma also is Vikriyavan, Anusandhana Abhava, cannot recognize, cannot, in fact, Anusandhanam, cannot know what transpired, what was in the past, what will come in the future, will only illuminate what is in the present and a limited object. Sarva Vyavahara Vilo, so then no Vyavahara will take place. See, any Vyavahara, when even I am talking, anything that we do, please suppose the past, because I recognize the person. Presupposes also that I am aware of the future consequences, that's keeping them in mind, I always do a vyavahara. My vyavahara, interaction, is always based on my knowledge of the past. That always plays its role in whatever I do, because that's how I know the person, judge the person, and therefore I also judge the effect of what I am going to do for the future. So in the vyavahara, the awareness of the past and future is required, otherwise vyavahara cannot take place. So fact that we do vyavahara, we interact, we do things, presupposes that there is the awareness of the past, awareness of possible future, and of course awareness of the present. And one buddhi cannot have that. Therefore Atma, which has awareness of past, present and future, so Atma cannot be Alpavit, Atma must be Sarvavit, and therefore Sarvagaha. It must be, Sarvavit means knowing everything, and that means it's present wherever everything is, therefore it's all pervasive. So this is a very interesting way of, establishing the Sarvitvam of Atma. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।